What happens when you, without realizing it, rejects the child who was once? What is the invisible cost of turning your back on the girl who still lives inside, silent, perhaps injured, seeking her gaze and welcome? Often, even living a seemingly successful life, we carry a weight. A subtle feeling that something essential is missing, or that life does not flow with the lightness and joy we so much desired. We see ourselves incessantly seeking empty, longing for external validation, or fighting repetitive patterns in our relationships, career, or health. It is as if there is a melody disagreed with our soul, and the conductor of this orchestra is often the relationship with our own inner child. This child, the girl you went, did not disappear over time. She is still present, with her memories, her pain, her dreams, and especially her unrestrained needs. And when we ignore her, suppress her, or reject her, she manifests herself in the adult woman in ways that prevent us from being fully ourselves, from embracing our most authentic, creative, and loving feminine essence. In this meeting, let's dive deep into Bert Hellinger's teachings to unravel the paths of reconciliation. You will find out how the healing and welcome of this inner girl are not just a rescue of the past, but the master key to freedom, genuine prosperity, and a lightness that transforms every aspect of your present life. Let us together open the doors to belonging to itself, a deep belonging that begins when we dare to look at our origin and our own history with love, respect, and compassion. As Bert Hellinger reminds us of his profound wisdom, we can only take life fully when we take our parents fully. And to take life in its entirety, we must first take ourselves in all our phases, especially the child who founded us and gave us the first breath of life. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to be present. The most important journey begins now, inside you. Within every adult woman who walks around the world, she resides the girl we once went. And this girl sometimes carries deep wounds, the result of a phenomenon that in family constellations we call the interrupted belonging. What does this mean in practice? It is the silent pain of the child who, for various reasons, perhaps parents were emotionally absent or immersed in their own pain and trauma, simply not fully seen, felt, or recognized in their most primary needs by their mother. Imagine, for a moment, a little girl who cries in her crib or seeks her mother's lap, and as much as her parents love her, they're so involved in their own internal struggles or life demands that they can't notice or respond to their pain. Or a child who tries to express his joy, his sadness, his anger, but his emotions are invalidated, minimized with phrases such as "it is not for that," or "stop freshness." This experience, however subtle it may seem, makes an invisible but deep brand in the psyche. As a result, in adulthood, you can feel constantly invisible in relationships, as if your opinions and feelings did not matter, repeating without knowing that childish pattern of not being seen. Or perhaps you always get prioritizing the needs of others, unable to express what you really feel or need, as if your inner voice is still stuck in that primary silence, fear of displeasing. Think for a moment, in silence. Do you remember moments when you felt invisible, not heard, or not recognized in your emotions during your childhood? How does this feeling echo today in your most intimate relationships? Your difficulty in positioning yourself or receiving? And pain often does not stop in our individual experience. Many of our struggles, from our patterns of repetition, come from a powerful and often completely unconscious phenomenon: invisible loyalties. For a deep and primitive love, a love of soul, we carry burdens that are actually not ours. We repeat the pains, destinations, and even the diseases of our female lineage, of our mothers, grandparents, great-grandparents, as an unconscious form of belonging, a silent act of love, a way of saying, "I love you, I am part, I am like you." Have you noticed how certain difficulties seem to be repeated like an echo in your family, especially among women? Perhaps it is an inexplicable financial scarcity, despite all the hard work and talent, or the repetition of challenging and painful relationships, just as with your mother or grandmother. It is as if there was a secret pact, an inner voice whispering in his subconscious, "I cannot be happier than my mother," or "I could be more success or more love than my ancestors had," so they don't feel alone in pain. It is invisible loyalty in action. Try to maintain an archaic balance within the family system that, paradoxically, prevents us from advancing to our own life and destiny. Bert Hellinger, with the clarity of his vision, warned us, many of our problems are loyalties. We are linked to the fate of our ancestors and carry their burden on love. We can only break free from them when we recognize this love and honor it. Reflect deeply. What painful patterns or difficult destinations do you realize that they are repeated in your female lineage? Would they be a reflection of an invisible loyalty that, in the end, is a deep and painful act of love and unconscious belonging? Recognizing this is the first step towards freedom. And this girl does not see this child who, out of loyalty or lack of space, has silenced her pain, her cries, and her genuine needs, grows and becomes a woman who often has a deep difficulty receiving. It is the echo of the silence of the child who could not cry that manifests himself in his adult life. This emotional repression, this absence of authentic expression of pain and joy, has a high price. It can create significant blocks in its prosperity, its ability to feel pleasure, and the fluidity of life in general. How many times have you seen yourself unable to receive sincere compliment, a gift, help, or even genuine affection, feeling a strange discomfort or the need to repay immediately? It is as if something internal said, "I'm not worthy of so much," or "I don't deserve it." Or perhaps you feel that you need to fight for every achievement, that genuine joy is a rare and fleeting luxury, and that lightness simply finds no space in your daily routine. This is the silenced child echoing, the natural flow of life prevented from flowing fully. This difficulty in accepting abundance, unconscious refusal to pleasure, and the feeling that life is a constant battle, they are direct reflexes of this inner voice that could not cry. Think honestly. How many times have you silenced your own tears, your deep needs, or your desires for fear of disturbing, being judged, or not accepted? What do you feel that this silenced voice still prevents you from receiving the good of life, from embracing joy and pleasure without guilt and with total permission? This is a crucial point for your flourishing. Now that we dare to look at the wounds and the entangles, it is time to turn our eyes to healing and reconciliation. And the starting point is one of the most fundamental and liberating pillars of systemic wisdom, the order of love. Hellinger has taught us that those who came before as priority in the system need to be honored, recognized in their place and in their destination. And that includes the injured child in us, with all his experiences, and above all, our mother, whom we receive the greatest gift, life itself. Taking the mother is, in essence, to take life fully. Many women spend much of their lives in an invisible cable of war with a maternal figure. They judge their choices, resist their teachings, or try to be the complete opposite of it in an unconscious attempt to break free. However, it is a paradox. The more you resist, the more you get stuck. When you, in an act of deep humility and love, allow yourself to recognize and honor your mother, not the idealized mother, but the royal mother, with her virtues, her pain, and her imperfections, a renewed life force arises within you. It is as if a flow of energy, previously blocked by resentment or expectations not attended, would run freely in its veins. This reconciliation with the origin, with the woman who has given you life, is what allows you to truly trust love, healthy relationships, and life, with everything she has to offer you. Without this fundamental acceptance, the search for something that fills the void can become incessant, exhaustive, and frustrating. True security and love come from this primary source. Think honestly. How is your internal relationship with your mother today? Can you honor her place, recognizing that she gave you the greatest gift, life, even if the story between you is challenging, painful, or incomplete? We have seen that when the inner girl was not taken, that is, it was not seen, recognized, or welcomed in its entirety, the adult woman you are today does not allow yourself to flourish fully. It is as if an essential part of you is trapped in time, waiting for permission, a green light that only you can give. The good news, the great revelation, is that reconciliation with the child you went to is not a luxury, but an act of deep belonging to yourself. It is the act of bringing back completely. Imagine a woman who, for years, was constantly anxious, always needing to be strong, productive, and controlling to be worthy of love and recognition. By allowing himself to welcome the fragility and vulnerability of her inner girl, by giving space to fear, sadness, and pure joy, she finds courage and authenticity that she did not know she had. She then takes an important step in her professional or personal life, which was once blocked by the fear of judgment or failure. The reconnection with the authentic feminine, with its softness, intuition, its receptivity, and its kind force begins precisely by allowing itself to be fragile, by undressing the armor of superwife and giving room for lightness and fluidity. The true female essence does not only reside in brute force or the ability to perform, but in the ability to welcome, nourish, create, and be in its entirety. Stop for a moment and feel. How can you welcome this girl that exists in you today, giving you the space, the careful listening, and the unconditional love she has always needed and that only you can give you fully? What part of your imposed strength, of your excessive control, can you kindly let go to give way to your true, lighter, and receptive nature? It is essential to understand that true cure is not a process of returning to the past to change it, because the past has happened and is unchanging. Cure is actually an act of bringing the child that you went into the light of consciousness to the here and now and lovingly integrate it with who you are today. It is honoring your pain, every scar, every tear, every challenge, not as a mistake to be hidden or denied, but as a sacred and intrinsic part of your soul's history, a part that made her resilient and wise woman you are. Every experience you lived, however painful or challenging it was, shaped and cut the strong, compassionate, and wise woman you are today. To deny this pain, to resist it, or to try to erase it is paradoxically denying and erasing an essential part of itself. The healing process involves looking at pain without judgment, with full acceptance, allowing it to transform itself not into a continuous burden, but into deep wisdom, in compassion for itself and, consequently, for others. It is recognizing that even the most difficult experiences, the so-called falls, contributed to their single journey, their ability to resilience, and their depth. Thus, the wound does not become a weight that drags you, but a portal for a wider understanding of life and its own strength. Take a deep breath and reflect. What part of your story, what pain, or what experience have you avoided looking directly, keeping in the shadow? What would happen if you welcomed her, inviting her to the light, like a sacred part of who you are, a part that deserves to be seen, felt, and finally honored? To assist and seal this path of liberation and self-filing, systemic phrases are powerful tools. They are like keys that open internal doors, allowing us to return what is not ours, the loads and ancestral pains, the heavy destinations we carry for loyalty, and finally welcome our own true essence, the one that has always been waiting to manifest. I invite you to repeat these phrases with your soul, feeling every word resonate in your heart, more than just with your mouth. Dear Mom, dear life, I accept the life that came from you, just as she was given to me, with everything she has to give me. The heavy, the pain, and the burdens that do not belong to me, I leave with you, in your place of dignity and respect. And light, the blessing, strength, and joy, I take to me, with deep gratitude and joy. I honor the fate of all the women of my lineage, recognizing their struggles and ways. And now, with permission and deep respect, I take my own destiny. I follow to my own life, in my own time, with the strength that comes from all of you. I take my place. I allow myself to be. I take my inner girl and put her in my heart, welcoming her with all the love she deserves. I am the woman who welcomes herself completely. Feel the vibration of these words. Which of these phrases resonates with you most deeply at this very moment? What would it be like to experience the lightness of releasing what does not belong to you, making room for your true and singular essence? Allow yourself this liberation. And what truly happens when you allow your inner girl to take your place, no longer hidden, but hugged and loved in your heart? You finally become the mother of herself. This is not an invitation to perfection, but for compassion. It is about assuming the loving responsibility of nourishing, protecting, and loving this inner child, giving her what she might not have received as she needed. When you become your own inner mother, the feeling of peace and completeness is immense. You stop seeking incessantly out there, in relationships, in material goods, in the validations of others, the love and security that can only come from within. Bert Hellinger, with his insight, stated, "Love makes the individual an adult. The inner fullness of an adult manifests itself in his love. And this love, the most fundamental of all, must first be directed to itself." But remember, being a mother of yourself does not mean that you need to carry everything alone in isolation. It means that you recognize your own inner strength to support yourself and welcome yourself, as well as the wisdom of seeking external support and connection with people and systems that nourish you when necessary. It is trusting in life, healthy relationships, and its own ability to be loved and to love. Breathe and feel. What would it be like to feel completely nourished, beloved, and safe by itself, with the lightness of not having to carry all the bales alone, but of receiving from life and from the truly open and confident heart relationships? We have reached the end of this journey of deep self-revelation, but for you, it is just the beginning of a new and transforming phase in your life. We have seen that looking at the inner child with love and acceptance, honoring our origin and the fate of our mothers and ancestors, and finally releasing the invisible loyalties that imprison us, are essential steps to live a full, authentic, and light life, truly yours. The blessing of the inner mother, the loving and unconditional acceptance of herself, her history, her lights, and her shadows, of her unique essence, opens the doors to a new destination. A fate of freedom, joy, and realization that begins when you say a deep and resonant yes to yourself, to the powerful and sensitive woman you are, and to the girl who founded her and brought you here. When the inner child is finally loved, welcomed, integrated, and honored instead within you, the woman not only exists, she flourishes. It manifests itself in its kind force, its accurate sensitivity, its sharp intuition, its vibrant creativity, and its inexhaustible ability to love and be loved, first by itself and then around the world. She lives with lightness, joy, and fullness that once seemed unattainable. There is no real way, more healer and more empowering than the way home, into itself. Allow this seed of love, welcome, and reconciliation to germinate and grow in your heart, watered by your own attention and affection. Observe life unfold with a new lightness, new purpose, and new meaning. May your journey be blessed with the deep peace of belonging to yourself, all today, and always.